What if I told you the squirrels in your yard have rules they expect you to follow? Would you know what they are? Most backyard observers think they do. But squirrels have silent expectations that go far beyond food and water and a consistent morning routine. These are unspoken rules the squirrels in your yard test you on every single day. And if you keep breaking them, which almost every observer does without realizing it, your squirrels will not tell you. They will quietly lose trust in you. I put everything I know about squirrels into a book. It's linked below if you want it. Let us start with the one almost everyone gets wrong. 1. Staring directly at the squirrels in your yard. Have you ever noticed that the moment you make full eye contact with a squirrel, they freeze and then bolt? You probably thought they got startled. What actually happened is worse than that. In squirrel language, sustained eye contact is not a greeting, it is a threat. Every species of tree squirrel across North America has evolved to interpret hard forward eye contact as the exact behavior a predator performs right before an attack. A hawk locks onto a squirrel with a fixed forward stare. A cat does the same. When you stand in your yard and lock eyes with the squirrel on the fence post, you are producing the same visual signature as the animals that eat them. Bill Bateman, whose research on urban wildlife habituation is widely cited in the field, has documented that squirrels actively avoid humans who make hard eye contact and move closer to humans who look at them softly and then look away. That is not accidental. That is the squirrel telling you the rules. The right move is simple. Look at your squirrels gently. Do not lock on. Give a soft, slow blink, then look away. That is the closest thing to saying, I am not hunting. And if you have been staring without knowing this, do not worry. Pay close attention to the final rule, because where the squirrels choose to be during their most exposed moments will tell you exactly whether they have forgiven you. 2. Approaching them too fast when they are near you. Why does the squirrel that has been visiting your feeder for months suddenly bolt when you take a single step forward? You did not do anything wrong, at least it did not feel like it. But here's what actually happened. Squirrels have a neurological threshold for approach speed. Once you cross it, what started as a habituated, trusting interaction flips into a full flight response. And when that switch flips, your squirrel is not being timid. They are telling you that you broke the rule. Robert McCleary at the University of Florida, whose laboratory produces some of the most influential research on how urban squirrels track individual humans, has documented that the speed at which a familiar human moves is one of the most reliable predictors of whether the squirrel stays or runs. Slow, deliberate, predictable movement gets categorized as safe. Fast or abrupt movement, even from a person the squirrel has known for months, resets the animal to a default suspicious state. The signs are always there before the flight. The tail goes flat, the body lowers, the ears rotate forward. Most observers miss every one of those signals because they are too focused on how close they are getting. The rule is simple. Move in inches, not steps. Let the squirrel decide when it is ready to close the distance. That is not you being timid. That is the animal teaching you how it wants to be approached. 3. Rearranging the yard where they live. You know that specific fence post the squirrel always sits on. That bare patch of ground where they always dig. That exact branch on the low tree where they always pause before dropping to the feeder. What happens when you clean up the yard, trim that branch, or drag a new piece of furniture onto the deck near their favorite spot? Most observers do not think twice. You are just tidying. But to the squirrel, you just eliminated something that belonged to them. Squirrels do not see your yard the way you do. They map their entire territory through scent and spatial memory. Every spot they use gets marked with the scent glands on their face and paws. That is their way of saying, this is mine, this is safe, this is where I return. Lucia Jacobs at the University of California, Berkeley, whose laboratory has produced the most influential research on tree squirrel spatial cognition, has documented that even small changes to landmarks inside a squirrel's mapped territory produce measurable stress and cache recovery failure. The rule is respect what they have claimed. If a squirrel has chosen a spot, that is not random. That is a decision made across weeks of assessment. And if you have to move something, do it gradually. Shift it in inches so the squirrels can update their map without feeling like their world disappeared overnight. 4. Talking to them while they are eating. Do you ever stand at the door and talk softly to the squirrels while they work on a nut at your feeder? It feels harmless. But your squirrels do not experience it that way. In the wild, feeding is one of the most vulnerable moments in a squirrel's day. Their head is down. Their attention is locked on the food. Their scanning for predators drops to almost nothing. Their guard is lower than any other point in their entire routine. That instinct does not switch off because they are eating in your backyard. So when you stand in the doorway and talk or lean toward the feeder for a closer look, the squirrel's survival brain immediately fires. They cannot fully relax into the meal because part of their attention is now tracking you. Even if they do not run, the stress is happening internally. You just cannot see it. What you can see is the aftermath. Squirrels who feel pressured while eating start cramming food into their cheeks and running with it instead of eating in place. Some stop arriving at the times they know you tend to appear. The rule is simple. When your squirrels are eating, give them silence. No calling out, no leaning close. Those few minutes at the food belong to them. 5. Ignoring them when they show up to see you. When you step out into your yard in the morning, what is the first thing you do? Check the plants, pick up something you left outside, glance at your phone. But have you ever noticed the squirrel was already there? Sitting on the fence post, sitting up on the deck rail, watching the exact door you always come out of. Most observers walk right past that moment, and to you it is nothing. You will notice them later. But to that squirrel, that moment meant more than you realize. Squirrels do not greet casually. When a habituated squirrel is already in position when you step outside, that is not luck. That is a small animal that has learned your schedule and chosen to be there for it. They are acknowledging you, and they expect a specific kind of acknowledgement back. McCleary's laboratory has documented that habituated squirrels form greeting patterns with specific humans, similar to the ones they form with other squirrels they trust. A soft look, a pause, a moment where you and the squirrel occupy the same space without either of you moving. When you ignore that moment, the squirrel does not throw a tantrum. They quietly file it away. And over time, those missed greetings add up. The squirrel arrives later, then some mornings not at all. The fix takes 3 seconds. Look at them, blink slow, say something soft. That is all they ever wanted. 6. Where the squirrels in your yard choose to bury their food. Have you ever wondered why one squirrel comes down and caches a nut 3 feet from your chair while another buries her food in the far corner of the yard where you cannot see? You probably never thought much of it, but that choice is the most honest thing a squirrel will ever tell you. Remember the beginning of this video when we talked about how sustained eye contact reads as a threat? This is where it all comes together, because where the squirrels in your yard choose to cache is the final verdict on how safe they have decided you truly are. Michael Steele, whose research at Wilkes University has documented squirrel caching behavior in detail, has shown that when a squirrel notices it is being watched by a potential thief, it will perform a fake cache. It goes through the entire motion of burying while keeping the nut hidden in its cheek pouch. It pretends. It buries an empty hole and walks away. A squirrel that comes down and caches openly in front of you has done something extraordinary. She has decided you are not in the category of thief. She has decided that her food is safer in your presence than hidden from it. A squirrel that only caches in the far corner still trusts you, but she is keeping a soft exit, and a squirrel that vanishes the moment you walk out was not shy. She was watching, and you were breaking one of the rules. The rules the squirrels in your yard expect you to follow are silent, invisible, and constantly being tested. Every visit that continues and everyone that quietly stops is the answer to whether you followed them today.